everybody, welcome back to Back in the Fairway here. We are taking a look at our PGA PGM program and how to progress our way through that to become a PGA professional. So if you haven't watched part one yet, please go back and watch that. That kind of gives you an overview of what this series is all about, as well as the first step in the program, which is passing that playing ability test. Now, the passing that test has two different levels to it. The first one is passing it outright, which is ideal. The second one is a qualifying score, which actually isn't good enough to make it into the program, or to pass the test, but it's good enough to make it into the program. Any of the two will work fine for getting into the system and getting things rolling towards your career in the PGA, but obviously playing well enough to pass it on the first try is amazing if you can do it. That said, once you are in, there's a pretty good career path laid out as far as the educational system goes through the PGA, through the PGM program. The Professional Golf Management Program is what it's short for. You'll hear PGM quite often through here. Basically what it is the first step you're going to have is this little book right here. I'm not going to show too much of this because I don't know how much of this is okay to show. But the qualifying level is relatively simple. It consists of basically two parts. You have a study guide and then a test. The test is, I want to say it was approximately 40 questions. It's been a while since I did it, so I can't remember exactly how many were on there. But it was right around 40 questions. You have to get 70 or 75% on it. But here's the thing. If you think about the fact that the test is broken up into basically three-ish parts: the history of the PGA, the Constitution, and then the rules section. If you get about 35% of the questions in each category, so about a third, so you get 13 questions in each one roughly, and you ace the rules section, because it is an open book test for the rules section, so don't spend much time there. Just find your definitions and know where to look for things. You really only have to get about 20 questions right out of the remaining 27 to really have a chance of making it through the test. So the first thing is you're going to see the history of the PGA. That is a very, very important one to go through. There's a lot of questions about who founded it, where it was founded, how it came to be, all that great stuff, how many members there are, what's the impact on golf, economic numbers. Those are all pretty key questions, but relatively simple to memorize. So take your time going through that section. Part two is the Constitution of the PGA. Again, super important, not only just for this test, but to understand why you're getting into the PGA itself. I'm going to actually flip in here. I'm not going to show this on the film here, or on the video here, but basically it goes through the whole process of how do you become a member, how do you, what levels do you go through, qualifying level, qualifying test, and then you get to the next part, which we'll cover in a few minutes here. But the qualifying level is really just to show that you have the mental aptitude to handle what's coming at you throughout the program. Again, knowing the history of the PGA and the structure of the PGA is key for why you want to be a part of this. And I can't say it enough. I kind of really ran it home last video as well, of the PGA isn't a license to teach golf. That isn't what it's for. That isn't how it works. Anybody can go out and teach the game of golf to somebody else. They don't have to have any super qualifications or any crazy signatures or, letters after their name. Anybody can learn golf and anybody can teach golf. What the PGA does is it enables you to have all of the resources right at your fingertips to become a better teacher, a more understanding teacher, a more coachable individual, and how to coach individuals better. And that's something that you either learn with a ton of experience or you get an education that'll teach you how to do it. That plus the teaching resources that the PGA has and the course resources, the benefits, all of these little things rolled up into a ball make the PGA one of the greatest systems in the planet, and I can't stress that enough. It is not just a stamp to put after your name and say, "Hi, I'm Bob, I'm a golfer." It is so much more than that. So we'll go into that stuff again a little bit later on in the program about why it is so important to get involved with the PGA if you're going to be a golf professional. I don't want it to sound like a commercial because it's not, but I can see where that would come from. But in this one, qualifying level, super simple stuff. Like I said, you're going to start off with a great big book here. You can print it, or you can just download the PDFs and use them on a tablet or your phone or whatever to study. It is really just reading through and memorizing all of the little details from the history and the Constitution. The rules section, again, you get a book to take in with you. Go buy a brand new copy of that book before you get your test. It may take a couple of weeks to get there, so order it early. I ordered 3 copies. That way I had one in my bag that I could take with me. I had a clean one to take into the test center. And I also got one of the decision books, which is quite interesting. It explains how they ruled and why they ruled that way with the rulings. So it's kind of an interesting read. If you're getting into the rules at all, it's a good book to have. So once you study up, you can schedule your test. Right now they're doing both PSI testing centers nationwide, and they are doing online virtual testing at home. From what I understand about the virtual testing at home, you have to be set up in a room. You have to pan around the room with your camera and show them there's nothing else in there. Then you have no phone, you have nothing else except for a piece of paper, a pencil, and your rule book. Other than that, you are clean to go. You will take your test. When you pass that, you will get an invitation. Let me rewind 1 second here. When you take your test, you will need your password to log in at the testing center. Make sure you have that. If you don't, contact PGA HQ and get it from them before you try to take your test. I never got that email saying what my password was, so it was a bit of an adventure as I'm in the room trying to put in a password that I don't have, and I can't access my email or anything to get into it. So it was quite interesting to get there, but we were able to kind of siphon our way through the system and got to it eventually. So make sure you have that password and you are good to go. So once you have your test taken and you pass it, you now have your PAT under your belt with at least a qualifying score. You now have your qualifying level testing done. This is where you will need to do 2 steps coming into this that are very painful if you are not already in a golfing career. The first one is pay cuts. So I'll be honest with you and say the golf industry is not the highest dollar volume industry in the planet as far as pay goes for entry-level positions. But if this is something you truly want, you're going to make some sacrifices just like I did. The 70-hour, 80-hour weeks during the summer. Winter, of course, it slacks off in my area, so I was able to mainly go part-time during that time. It was great to get through a couple of seasons as I'm building this system into, a career for me. But gaining eligible employment is the next real step in the system. You will need to have a course operator sign off on your... Well, I shouldn't say course operator. I'm approaching it from the standpoint of a golf course. You will need to have an industry expert sign off on your paperwork to get you into the system. So for me, that was my director of golf at my course. If you are working at a retailer, that would be your store manager or possibly a PGA professional that teaches at your store. So anyway, you'll need that sign off done. You'll submit your paperwork along with your payment for the level 1 courses, which again is not cheap, but again, this is a long-term thing that some people even go to college and pay that kind of money for. So if that's where you're headed, perfect. Whatever career you're going for, design or, sales or manufacturing rep or clothing, whatever you want to tag into your PGA status is where this will go. Level 1 is where you start. Once you have your eligible employment, you will submit your paperwork and your dues for the year, which usually are quite a bit less if you're not doing a full year. At which point you will be awarded associate level status, which is exactly where I am now. From there, you will schedule your first seminar, which we will get to in the next video. But the level 1 seminar will come after that, and then you can begin all of your book work and portfolio work for level 1. So that about wraps that one up. If you have any questions on the qualifying test, leave them down in the comments below. I would love to answer them for you. It's very anxiety driven, but at the same time, it's not as hard as it seems. So yeah, fire away down below. I'd love to answer your questions. If you have any other thoughts or comments, hit me up. Would love to go through and catch you up and see exactly where you're struggling or where you need help and see if we can get you some help for it. So again, please subscribe, hit the bell if you want to keep up with this series. I'm having a great time doing it. I'm glad to be getting to videos regularly now. So anyway, hit the comments down below and subscribe button and the bell. And I'll see you in the next video where we cover your online seminar and level 1 activities. Thanks so much for watching.